What's good, 108s? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to have a conversation about Phil Spencer's comments on Sony trying to keep Xbox down so they can continue their console dominance. Let's get into this conversation. Now, with that being said, we're going to talk about this whole thing. We know the EU has been going crazy. The CMAs have been going crazy. The FTC, new filing of a lawsuit, which we're going to get into later. But let's go into these comments from Phil Spencer. This is short, sweet, but it's right to the point. Let's get into this article brought to you by The Verge. Xbox chief and gaming CEO Phil Spencer says, in the opposition to the Activision Blizzard deal comes down to PlayStation maker wanting to protect its dominance in consoles. The way they grow is by making Xbox smaller, said Phil Spencer in a recent Second Request podcast via Eurogamer. So let's get into that. So you trying to tell me Sony has been the market leader for 20 years. Now you saying, yeah, they destroying everybody, but who are they really destroying? Nintendo backed out of the major mainstream market. They not competing in terms of power. So when Sony came in the game, how did they grow so fast? How did they came in at the right damn time? But let me tell you what they did do. They didn't come in with years and years of gaming experience. What they did is they had to purchase studios. And being that Nintendo is not that type of company, they've basically been in a whole window and picture all alone. It's like a spoiled kid in a candy store with no siblings. Now, they're being challenged by Microsoft. So let's continue this article. Sony has been opposed to Microsoft's $6.87 billion deal to acquire Activision Blizzard and focus on the future of Call of Duty in its filings with the regulators. Sony is leading the dialogue around why the deal shouldn't go through to protect its dominant position on console so they can grab onto is Call of Duty, says Mr. Phil Spencer. The largest console maker in the world would raise an objection about the one franchise that will continue to ship on their platform. Now, people, I want y'all to get into the comments about that. We're talking about Sony, right? You average 100 million consoles in sales. Even though 50 is the mark everybody want to hit, PlayStation is a juggernaut with selling consoles. They average 100 million consoles per generation. Now, Phil Spencer is pointing out the obvious, but this is one key point that happened over the weekend. We know the whole FTC's filing is about what the EU said or supposedly said in Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax, right? They said that Microsoft is frauding the public, pretty much pulling the wool over their eyes, and they did not divulge their strategies for keeping games exclusive. Now, the EU has fired back and said, that is not what we said. Here go the documents. It shows clearly in the documents that Microsoft showed we will have exclusive games, but the games that are currently on those platforms, we will continue to support. Not only did that happen, Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop continued to be a PlayStation exclusive and kept those deals in place. Now, let's move deep into this short article. Spencer has repeatedly rest assured that Call of Duty fans recently that franchise will remain on PlayStation after months of debate. The Verge revealed in September that Spencer had made a written commitment to PlayStation head Jim Ryan earlier this year to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for several more years beyond the existing marketing deal that has with Activision. Sony labeled Microsoft's offer inadequate on many levels. Microsoft now says it's offered a 10-year deal on Call of Duty, which Sony has yet to comment on. Now let me say this. For Microsoft to move Call of Duty to their platform exclusively, yes, it would draw players to Game Pass, and it would also bring players to the Xbox platform where games are played. That's a fact. But if they're offering you a deal, just like they did with Minecraft, but the Bethesda titles, Elder Scrolls Online, y'all got the new Skyrim, you got the new Minecraft Dungeons. They have kept these deals that was currently on your console in place. What are we talking about, Sony? What are we talking about here? They offered this to Nintendo. They offered it to Steam. Both open arms, written agreements. They're not frauding the public, people. Now, by them owning this platform, it does not hurt the PlayStation gamer, which I am also. You get to play Call of Duty wherever you want to play it at. Now let's continue. Microsoft has reached out a 10-year deal with Nintendo, the makers, to make Call of Duty available on Nintendo consoles if Activision Blizzard deal closes. That could potentially lead to Call of Duty releasing on Nintendo Switch for the first time. Now let me say this too. Let me say this. This is another feat that's showing you that they are willing to keep these titles on platforms where you choose to play. Not they're gonna switch, they're gonna end up streaming it or whatever. It don't matter because they playing Resident Evil 8 the same way with nice graphic fidelity. But the end and the point, Sony is scared of Game Pass. Let's get into the rest of this and then we're gonna have a discussion. Whether Call of Duty games on Nintendo consoles or Xbox Game Pass hangs in the balance right now. After the Federal Trade Commission filed a legal challenge to try to block Microsoft plans to buy Activision Blizzard, regulators in Europe have also closely examined the deal, with the EU on March 23rd deadline to complete in-depth investigation and issue a decision. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, is also performing a deeper review of the deal. Now let me tell you what's going to happen to this. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Microsoft is being forthcoming, and they've never been a company with shady deals, aka Sony. And you said, Lemon, why are you saying that? We all remember the Epic and Apple battle. It showed all of Sony's dirty laundry. To the backdoor deals of exclusivity for games, and they claim Xbox is going to do that to them, which eye for an eye, right? Y'all not getting Starfield, y'all not getting Redfall and future titles from Bethesda or id or anybody else. I got it. We don't got Spider-Man. Well, I do. I have a PlayStation. But my point of matter is, how can you be mad at Microsoft for competing with their wallet like you did? But I know what the problem is. You can't spend what they spend, so you can't compete. So as a big baby that Sony is, as a corporation, no matter how large they are, they're a spoiled brat. So with this being said, what do y'all think in the comments? This came out the EU basically destroyed what the FTC done filed for. Man, this is getting messy. It's gonna be prolonged. But let me say this, the FTC already know they not gonna win this case. But what they're doing is they just giving a challenge to save face. But if something, this is a lot of waste of time for courts and taxpayers' money for something politically motivated. This is ridiculous. Activision wants this deal. Microsoft wants this deal. Take-Two CEO said they don't care. EA said they don't care. Saudi Arabia said they don't care. Brazil said they don't care. Right now, it's even in China's hands, and it looked like they don't care either. Sony, it's time to compete. You've been in this space by yourself financially, because recently, in 2017, is when Microsoft finally got that green light, or let me say Xbox division got that green light to open that wallet. Let's get out here and let's play the game. Now that that's happening, what's gonna happen next? Because when you bought Bungie, Housemarque, Insomniac, Microsoft congratulated you on your acquisitions. Now you crying. Activision stock is in jeopardy. Their company's in jeopardy. You don't have the money to save it, so you rather y'all go into a bidding war over IPs with Microsoft. If they buy Call of Duty, you won't get it. People, get in them comments. Let's talk about this. Microsoft has a bigger vision. They're looking at mobile with King, and of course Blizzard. Shout out to Mike Ybarra over there doing a great job, who is welcoming the deal also, because you know he came from the Xbox roots. Get in the comments, hit that like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this content or you have something to say, I respond to everybody in my comments, positive and negative. And as I always say, I'm gonna see you in the next video, but I want you to bring your game and not your name. And those are the facts.